My ex accused me of being a deadbeat dad in court, until my lawyer pulled out the one piece of evidence that changed everything. Hello Reddit I+ here. I never thought I'd end up in court fighting to prove I was a good father. 3 years ago, my ex-wife, Tasha, accused me of being a deadbeat dad, not just in passing. She made it official. Took me to court. Filed for full custody of our daughter, Maya, and back child support. Claimed I hadn't been involved in her life, hadn't sent a dime, hadn't cared. It was the most gut-wrenching betrayal I've ever felt. We divorced 5 years ago. Things had been civil, at least on the surface. I paid child support religiously. Birthday gifts, school fees, private tutoring. Even when I was laid off and took freelance gigs just to get by, I always made sure Maya didn't feel the weight of our fractured family. I kept receipts, bank transfers, emails, texts, everything. I thought that meant something. Apparently, not to Tasha. When I got the court summons, I was stunned. At first, I thought it was a mistake, maybe some administrative error. But when I showed up in court and saw her standing beside her new husband, looking smug, I realized it wasn't. This was calculated. Her affidavit accused me of emotional abandonment, failure to pay child support for over 2 years, and neglectful behavior. She even claimed Maya didn't want to see me anymore, because I was never there. I nearly threw up. What hurt most wasn't that she lied, but that Maya had stopped responding to my messages a few months prior. I'd thought maybe it was teenage stuff. 13 years old, new friends, peer pressure. Turns out, Tasha had been poisoning her against me the entire time. My lawyer, Denise, was a quiet but sharp woman in her late 40s. She had this way of making you feel calm, even when your world was falling apart. Let them talk, she'd said. Truth doesn't need volume, just proof. Still, that first court session nearly broke me. Tasha painted me as a monster, irresponsible, indifferent, selfish. Her lawyer added fuel to the fire, reading out statements supposedly written by Maya, saying I never showed up to her school events and always made empty promises. I wanted to scream. I had been there. I had photos from her school play. I sent money for her field trip to DC. I even made a custom necklace for her 12th birthday, which she thanked me for in a handwritten letter, one I still kept in my drawer. Then came the turning point. Denise stood up, calm, unshaken. Your Honor, we'd like to submit documented evidence contradicting every one of Ms. Hartley's claims. She handed over a thick binder to the judge. Inside were monthly bank statements showing direct child support deposits, email confirmations of gifts and payments for school expenses, screenshots of messages between me and Maya, conversations full of love, excitement, and gratitude, and then the knockout punch, a short video clip from Maya's last birthday. She was sitting on her bed, holding the necklace I made her. Thanks, Dad, she said, smiling at the camera. You always know what I like. I miss you. I wish Mom would let me call you more. The courtroom went silent. Tasha's face turned a shade I can only describe as panic, trying to disguise itself as confusion. The judge looked up. Ms. Hartley, do you have an explanation for this? She stammered. That was before he stopped. Things changed. The judge narrowed his eyes. That video is time-stamped 4 months ago. Your complaint states he's been uninvolved for over 2 years. Her lawyer whispered something frantically, but the damage was done. Everything began to unravel. By the second hearing, Maya had been appointed a guardian ad litem, someone neutral to speak with her and assess her best interests. After a few sessions, the truth came out. Tasha had been intercepting my messages. She told Maya I stopped caring, then blocked my number from her phone and made excuses every time I tried to visit. She'd even rewritten some of my letters and claimed they were mistakes, or from years ago. Her new husband? He had been encouraging it. They wanted to start fresh, and apparently I didn't fit into that picture. But I wasn't going to disappear. 3 weeks later, the judge ruled in my favor. I was granted shared custody with scheduled visitation and full transparency. The court also found Tasha guilty of parental alienation, something she'd thought she was too clever to get caught doing. She was ordered to attend co-parenting counseling and pay back a portion of the legal fees. The last day in court, as I walked out with Maya by my side, she grabbed my hand. I'm sorry I didn't know sooner. I didn't blame her. She was a child, caught in a web of lies spun by someone she trusted. What hurt wasn't just the accusation. It was the ease with which Tasha tried to erase my love, my effort, and my presence. But in the end, the truth stood taller. And as for Denise, before we parted ways, she handed me a simple envelope. Inside was a sticky note. Keep the receipts. They tell the story even when people lie. I thought it was over after the judge ruled in my favor. I had shared custody of Maya. She was warming back up to me, slowly but surely. The distance created by months of manipulation was beginning to close. She was calling me Dad again. Not just out of habit, but with feeling. But with Tasha, peace was never part of the plan. Not for her. About 2 months after the ruling, I received an emergency call from Maya's school. Apparently, Tasha hadn't shown up to pick her up again. This was the 3rd time in 2 weeks. When I got there, Maya was sitting alone in the office, hugging her backpack like it was armor. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "I knew you'd come," she said. I took her home, fed her, helped with homework, but something felt off. Later that night, I got a call from Child Protective Services. Tasha had filed a report. She claimed I had kidnapped Maya and was emotionally unstable. Said Maya was terrified of me and didn't feel safe in my home. I stared at my phone in disbelief. It was happening again. Another lie, another round of attacks. But this time it felt more desperate. My lawyer, Denise, stepped back in immediately. "She's grasping at straws," she said. "It's retaliation, and it's not going to end well for her." CPS followed protocol and visited my home the next day. I welcomed them in, calm and cooperative. Maya was there too. She answered their questions honestly. She even showed them her bedroom, her sketchbooks. The necklace I gave her still hanging on her corkboard. She didn't even hesitate. By the end of the visit, the agent smiled gently and said, "It's clear Maya feels safe here. We'll follow up, but I don't expect this will go far." Still, it hurt. I couldn't believe Tasha would go so far as to weaponize the system again, this time with Maya old enough to understand what was happening. Her lies weren't just affecting me anymore. They were hurting our daughter. The final blow came a week later. Tasha showed up at my place, unannounced. I opened the door to find her in tears, mascara running down her face. "I made a mistake," she said, voice trembling. "I was just scared. Scared you'd turn Maya against me." She was good. I'll give her that. If I hadn't already lived through months of her manipulations, I might have believed it. I said nothing. I thought if I had full custody, I could give Maya the life she deserved. But now she barely talks to me. I watched her closely. Her lips quivered, her hands trembled, but her eyes, dry, calculating. And then came the real reason she was there. "I was hoping," she continued, "maybe we could sit down, all 3 of us, and work out a better schedule. I mean, the court doesn't know what's best for our family. We do, right?" Translation. She wanted to regain control. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I stepped aside, and Maya walked into view. She didn't say anything either. Just looked at her mother with that same quiet strength I was learning to admire more and more. Tasha blinked. "Maya, baby, you okay?" Maya tilted her head. "You told CPS I was scared of Dad." Tasha froze. "I'm not scared of him. I was scared of you lying again." That moment cracked something. Tasha's expression fell. And for once she had no script. No lawyer, no courtroom. Just the daughter she thought she could manipulate and the man she'd tried to erase, both standing in silent judgment. "I think you should leave," I said quietly, and she did. Tasha backed off after that. The CPS report was dismissed as unfounded and flagged as suspicious. The judge added a note to the custody order. No further interference or false reports would be tolerated. Maya started therapy. On her own terms. She chose to live primarily with me after a year. She still saw her mom, but there was distance now, earned by betrayal, measured in lost trust. As for me, I stopped holding my breath every time the phone rang. Some people think being a dad is about birthdays and holidays, but it's not. It's about showing up, even when you're lied about, even when the world thinks you're the villain. It's about staying steady in the storm and trusting that one day the truth will speak louder than the drama. And it did.